Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, getting ready to go over this DraftKings main slate for Monday, March 24th. I know everybody's been big on March Madness, but obviously that's not happening today, so it's back to NBA we go. MLB comes in a few days, and there's also UFL, so lots to be excited about this week. But there's still NBA, man, and we can still make money off of it, so let's try to do that. The core plays have been good. They were pretty darn good yesterday. So, let's keep trucking along and let's get some big wins. We've certainly had some wins in Discord. You can come in and take advantage of free advice and just like some good chatter with everybody else in there. Everybody's looking to help each other. And then, of course, if you want some more finalized plays, you can hit up our Patreon to get those. The way we do this, we go over the slate by looking at every position, highlighting the best plays. This is a 6 game slate. So nice size slate, some good contests out there. I always recommend playing single entry, kind of trying to cut things down a little bit and condense it, but this is a pretty good slate to max the contest and enter a lot of contests if you want to do that. Not a lot of studs though, so that's what's kind of interesting. All right, let's get to it. If anything I do helps you out, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Both those things help us out quite a bit, and if you subscribe to the channel, you will get alerted to future videos. All right, let's get to it. Point guard, we go up top is Luka Doncic. No surprise there. But with LeBron James back, Luka just isn't going to have like a god level projection. Last game with LeBron, he played 31 minutes, had 53 fantasy points, even though he was in a smash spot against the Bulls. It's Luka. He can go off no matter what, anytime. He can drop 50 real points. But he is 12.3K. LeBron's supposed to be there. There's still Austin Reeves. Really might play again after returning in the last game. And the projection's not amazing, and it's at Orlando. So, like, everything here makes Luka look really bad. It's just not like an optimal play whatsoever. Not something I'm getting excited to do. So I just personally am not going to be playing Luka really. I do say anytime somebody as good as him with the type of ceiling he does offer, if they're going to be sub 10% owned, you should get a little bit of exposure to them. If I'm doing a single entry, I'm probably not going 12.3K for Luka. I just think there's better builds to be had. But is he a good tourney play across the board? Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. Now, the problem is $4,000 less is Jamal Murray. There's no Jokic. He's unlikely to play per Mike Malone, whatever that means these days. Considering he's been missing time and he's got a real ankle issue, I'm just going to take that as Jokic is definitely out, so we can definitely load up on Nuggets. And guess what? They're at home in the best possible spot against the Bulls, so this looks awesome. It's obviously at risk of being a major letdown because it's the last game of the night, and if it doesn't hit, you're totally screwed because there's all these other 5 games going before you, and there are other spots to entertain attacking too. So that said, dollar for dollar, Jamal Murray is probably the best play of the entire slate. Certainly best play at point guard, 8.1K, 46-point fantasy projection. He is going to be very, very owned. But that is chalk I don't mind eating. Russell Westbrook, on the other hand, at 7.5K. If he comes off the bench again, that might be chalk I don't mind getting away from. I think if we knew for a fact that Russ was starting, then I would be like, fine, yeah, 7.5K Russ, he's a better play than Jamal Murray. But the fact that he did not start last game and DeAndre Jordan got dusted off for 38 freaking minutes, that just makes me think I can't fully trust Westbrook. And he had like foul trouble and stuff, so there's that. But he did, and I think they got blown out too. And he only played 23 minutes. But I don't expect that. I think if you negate the foul trouble and like the fact that the game wasn't close, I think Russ, with that 30% usage rate, that's just gross. Like, he's a good play, no doubt about it. He projects like a god on this slate, so I don't mind if you want to play him. I just don't feel like he's going to be core play territory for me, and especially at that ownership, 41% owned, more owned than Jamal Murray. If all of that sticks at that price and Russ doesn't start, I am okay with going underweight on Russ for sure. That said, if we get 35 minutes of Russ against the Bulls, that looks good. There's nothing wrong with that. Somebody a little bit more appealing but way more expensive is Josh Giddey. He's displayed an insane ceiling on the year numerous times. We know that much. And now the matchup with Denver is not imposing whatsoever. I mean, last game, I think it was against Lakers, 73 fantasy points, 50 plus fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. He has been a beast, to say the least. There's still no Lonzo Ball, still no Ayo Dosunmu. Vooch is back, but like that's the only deterrent. And of course the price, 9.1K. Do I love clicking Josh Giddey at 9.1? No, but if he's actually going to be sub 20% with this projection on this slate, and Russ is going to be mega chalk, I think it's a pretty sharp play to go away from Russ a little bit and play Giddey. In that same breath, Quentin Grimes, basically the same price. Projection isn't that far away from Giddey. I think he's a really good play against the Pels, assuming we can actually fully trust Nick Nurse. Lately, that's been the case. Grimes has been playing 32 plus minutes in each of the last 5 games. He's just been like really rock solid lately. But we know he has a ceiling with this massive role. The usage rate is disturbing, 32% plus in all these games here. Like, if that's going to keep going on and we can actually trust his minutes, you can play Quentin Grimes at 9K. Of course, the second I say that, what's going to happen? He'll play like 12 minutes, right? But really, I think he's still a good play. I prefer Giddey for sure, but Grimes is not going to be very owned at that price on the slate, despite a really, really good matchup with the Pels. Now, speaking of not owned, all the ownership is going to Jamal, Russ, and then if dripping down underneath those guys, it's going to be Giddey and Grimes for sure. But Tyrese Halliburton, he's going to go a little bit over underlooked for sure. 8.5K, especially against the Timberwolves. Nobody's really going to want to do that. So I think it's a little bit interesting in tournaments. I think I still would rather just go to Giddey or Grimes here, or just go with Russ or Jamal for sure. Kobe White in that game with Denver and Chicago, he looks pretty good on paper for sure. My mic is messing up here. Let me try to fix it. All right, here we go. All right. So, yeah, Kobe White, he was really good in his last game. He's been scoring the ball extremely well. 36 real points in his last game. He's been doing pretty darn good as a scorer. Giddey is going to do a lot of that peripheral stuff, though, and we do have Vooch here. So, if I had to pick one, it's going to be Giddey. He's just a massive ceiling. I do like Vooch compared to Kobe as well, but Kobe looks good. 8K for Kobe. Do not mind him. The other issue on this slate is the Raptors. The Raptors have actually been getting minutes lately. Like, can we trust that? No. 8.7K, Scotty Barnes against the Wizards. That actually looks pretty darn good. If he's going to get like 33 minutes like he did a couple of games ago, then yeah, Scotty Barnes is viable, but we just do not know what's going to happen there at all. So I don't trust it. The Raptor situation is really murky. If I'm going to play a Raptor like stud, like RJ Barrett's out, and still no debut for Brandon Ingram. Grady Dick remains out. There's no Chris Boucher. So if I'm going to play somebody, it's probably going to be Manuel Quickly. He sat out the last game. He's only 6.6K. He just is a better value here. He's going to be owned, though. So I'm just kind of very okay with just going away from the Raptors altogether. I have a really good game I want to target in the Bulls Nuggets, and there's a second game in the Sixers and Pels that looks really good, too. So I do not mind going away from the Raptors here, especially if they're going to be owned. With Quickly back, like value like Jamal Shed and stuff, like, I don't know. Like, it looks like he could be okay. His projection here, I don't think I want to do it. They have too many guys in there who are going to be touching the ball for the Raptors. I don't think it's fully necessary. Especially when you have somebody like Jose Alvarado at a similar price point, 4.9K. If he starts against the Sixers, he looks really good. Don't mind him whatsoever. That might depend on what happens with Zion. Last I saw Zion, well, he missed the last game, and now he's questionable with a back injury. Let me see if that's been updated at all. Still questionable. And now CJ McCollum is also on the injury report. So if McCollum's out, Alvarado is like a lock at 4.9K. And then Jordan Hawkins at 4K also looks really, really good. Might be able to just pair those two guys and save a ton of cash. No issues there. They both look really good. Austin Reeves at 8.8. Only way I'd play him is if LeBron or Lucas sit. If he's not really in the same boat as far as like trying to get contrarian, like I'll pay 12K for Luka if he's gonna be like 10% owned or less, like a couple times. I'll pay for him just for that chance at Luka getting 80 with nobody on him. But Reeves just does not have the same upside at 8.8K, so he's a total cross off for me. Same with Jordan Poole. The minutes have just not been there. He's going to be maxed out at like maybe 30 minutes, but it's been a lot less than that. It's just been all over the place. The Wizards, I don't know what they're doing. I would lean towards the young guys, but you can't even trust that because in the last game, some guys played Tristan Vukovic and he got 5 minutes. Gross stuff. So, I don't know. I just don't want to mess with the Raptors or the Wizards these days. I think I would lean towards the value for the Wizards, but I don't exactly trust it. One guy I like a lot, but the price is not like so amazing that you have to play him, is Keon Johnson. There is no D'Lo for the Nets, and the Nets have a good matchup against the Mavs. So D'Lo being out is pretty significant. D'Lo does have a good usage rate. He takes up a lot of the offense, and even got up to 32 minutes in the last game. So taking D'Lo out of the equation gives Keon quite a boost. We obviously still have no Cam Thomas for Brooklyn as well. So Keon Johnson's going to push for like 35 minutes and he's going to have a good amount of usage. So at 5.9, I do like him. Cam Thomas is getting a little bit expensive at 7K, but he played 37 minutes in his last game, 35 plus minutes in 4 of his last 5, 41 plus fantasy points in 3 of his last 4. He's been very good. And a date with the Mavs is not scary whatsoever. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself with the small forward there. But the point is, the Nets actually have some good plays here, and Keon Johnson is one of them at 5.9. Monitor the Timberwolves. Ant is another guy who's questionable. He got hurt in his last game, I believe. And if he is out, somebody like Dante DiVincenzo at 5.4K is going to look a lot better. Jared Butler at 6.1K is a big no thank you if he does not start. Even if he starts, I'm not like super excited to do it. Jeff Doughton got to start last time. He is a good play if he starts. 5K, he's way cheaper. He projects better. And he started the last game. Plus the matchup with the Pels obviously is amazing. So I'm okay with Doughton at 5K. And that could be a nice pivot off of Jose Alvarado if you don't want to eat the Jose Alvarado chalk. Because Alvarado, you don't really want to play him into ownership all the time, especially him and Hawkins. You might want to take a stand there instead of playing them both like automatically. And Doughton could be one way to do that. Butler, I'm not really on Butler. If he started, I'd be like, okay, you can play him, but he's not a must by any means. Nobody else really is a must. Cole Anthony, if he's back, I guess at 5.1, he'd be in play. If he's out, you're looking at like Anthony Black and Corey Joseph. I'm not super excited about that. Jamal Shed, I mentioned at 4.9 against the Wizards. He's okay. Like if Barnes and Quickly are limited and then don't play the fourth, Jamal Shed could end up working out at 4.9. He was a core play the other day, had 30 fantasy points at 4.5K. So he worked out then. I don't think he's really going to be a play for me today, but somebody you don't want to completely write off. All right, that's probably going to do it. Not really going to do the Anthony Black, Corey Joseph dive, but they're there. They're in play if Cole Anthony is out. Jamal Murray is the best shooting guard play of the slate at 8.1K. I'm probably going to slide him there personally and then use the value with Hawkins or Alvarado to open things up. He looks awesome. And Russ is point guard only, so I just think he's the better play than Russ right now. Better projection, safer because we know for sure he's going to start with no Jokic, not that much more expensive, and he's less owned for some reason. I don't know. I think that might kind of even it out later, and the ownership might be a lot different. We'll see what happens. Grimes, okay. Franz Wagner at basically the same price against the Lakers. Don't mind it. Just not a priority for me. Anthony Edwards, forever a good tourney play. If he's in against the Pacers and nobody wants to play Anthony Edwards because he keeps getting hurt apparently, then 9.5K Edwards is not going to be owned, and that is appealing on a smaller slate like this. Obviously not super psyched that everybody's back for Minnesota, which is just going to naturally lower his usage and ceiling. And obviously, if he's not fully 100%, that also isn't great. So not an optimal play, not a guy you have to get to, but certainly a decent tourney play if he's in. Christian Brown, all the Nuggets guys are going to just get elevated usage here and extra burn. Brown had 34 minutes last game, 33 the game before. He's got a low floor, especially with no Jokic, because this is something we talked about that is very underrated in DFS. Like, okay, Jokic exits, right? So he opens up usage, but he also is a massive part of their offense, and he facilitates like crazy. There's a reason why he almost averages a triple-double every year. So Jokic draws in coverage and leaves guys like Christian Brown wide open, so Brown can take threes or cut and get easy baskets. So without Jokic, that isn't there as much. So, and obviously he's not a super high usage player in the first place, so he kind of has to just hit his shots. So Brown is okay just because the minutes are there and the matchup is really good against the Bulls. But I do think he takes a mild hit, ironically enough, when Jokic is not there. Herter is just okay, getting big minutes. 5.7K is starting to feel a little bit much for Herter. Like if Herter is chalky at 5.7K, I would rather do something else for sure. Fine play, don't mind him, just don't think he's like a big priority. I'd rather play Keon Johnson at what looks like currently no ownership, as opposed to like 10% and 15% for Brown and Herter. Bruce Brown is a good value at 4.8K against Philly, especially if Zion is out. Like if Zion is out and CJ's in, I think he's still fine. 35 minutes last game. He was not good, 16 fantasy points. But if he's going to play 35 minutes at 4.8K, I'm all into that. Probably it. I will keep an eye on the Pacers situation. Aaron Nesmith could be viable at 5K if Benedict Mathurin is out. If Mathurin's in, the Pacers are just kind of whatever. Like, they're fine, but I just don't feel like they are really calling to me here, especially against the Timberwolves, which is never ideal. Zaire Williams also is questionable. If he's out, maybe we can look at Tyrese Martin. But really, for me, all that would do is make Keon and Cam just look a lot better. All right, over at small forward, if he's in, Zion is a beast, 9.2K, best projection of the slate at the position. But he's going to carry ownership, and guess what? We still know Zion is limited. He's not going to play much more than 30 minutes. Like, has he done that lately? Played 30 minutes last game, 32 a few games ago. It's like they just pick and choose when they want him to play 26 or 32 minutes. I think, he's worth attacking if he's in there because, number one, nobody on Philly is actually going to stop him. And number two, if he does get the 32 or even more minutes randomly, that could just offer a massive ceiling at no ownership. Well, usually right now, 20% ownership. I don't think I'm in on Zion. I think I'd rather play Giddey at a little bit less ownership. Basically the same price, basically the same projection, a little bit less owned. I like that Giddey can be had at small forward as well. So it's Giddey all the way for me there. LeBron on owned against the Magic at 10.3K. I think he's in play for tournaments. Obviously, he's 2K less than Luka. He played 31 minutes in his first game back in a blowout, so I'm not worried about his minutes at all. I don't love the projection in relation to like Zion and Giddey. I think those guys are better plays. But if LeBron's actually going to be 10% owned or less, he's interesting for tournaments for sure. I think he's a better tourney play than Luka because of his price, obviously. Then Wagner, Barnes, fine if you want to do that, just not into it personally. Cam Johnson, Michael Porter Jr., they're basically the same play. They both look good. If everybody's going to be on MPJ, I'll load up on the other Nuggets guys that I like and just get a little bit of ownership discount on Cam Johnson, who's only $200 more. But MPJ is also good. Don't mind it. Justin Edwards, though, is like the best value here at small forward. 5K, playing huge minutes. He's been crushing lately. Look at this, 31 plus fantasy points in 4 straight. Obviously, this could easily be the day where he just bottoms out because he's Justin Edwards, but he's playing massive minutes. Just keep an eye on Philly, though, because they do have a bunch of guys that have been out that are now, questionable to come back. So Maxey, Oubre are the two main ones. If either of them come back, the Philly value does get hit considerably. But if they're out, Edwards looks awesome at 5K. Plus, you can use him at power forward. So I like him a lot. The other big thing is Anthony Davis he's been upgraded to questionable. So if Anthony Davis plays, somebody like Najee Marshall is a big no for me. Just because he's 7.9K. Like, you are paying for a guy who's supposedly guaranteed to get like 36 minutes against the Nets. But if Anthony Davis comes in and steals 20 to 25 minutes or something, suddenly you're getting a lot of that usage taken away. So Najee at 7.9 is fine if Brow is out. I don't love him at that price with PJ Washington back and taking up a lot of the usage, but he's totally fine. Fine. Okay, so we got an update here. Looks like Elfrid Payton is now in play to some degree, and Bruce Brown and Zion and Cole Anthony are all out. So forget about Zion as far as being a GPP play. He's out, and I'll talk about the value that we can look at with them in a little bit. Let me just double check to make sure this is official. Bruce Brown out, Misi questionable, CJ out, Zion out. So yeah, we can look at all that Pels value that I was talking about. Hawkins and then Alvarado are now, those guys are core plays now. They're both going to start. And then we'll talk about the other guys in a little bit. Bruce Brown is out, so that makes like Hawkins even better. Boy, we can even talk about let's see, going over to Brooks. That feels bad. He's been getting 20 minutes the last 2 games. I guess that's viable at 3.2K. Jamal Cain, Antonio Reeves, like these guys have not been getting minutes. They haven't really been in the rotation, but they're going to have to play now. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 10 bodies with Elfrid Payton in there. It's gross. I think I would still definitely lean Alvarado, Hawkins, and then I'll talk about the bigs in a second. And the fact that Brooks is getting run makes him interesting. But yeah, Brooks, Kane, and Reeves would be on my radar, but not necessarily like super safe or anything. All right, so back to small forward. We were talking about Najee. I'm not really in on Najee as things stand. If Brow doesn't play, I think he's in play. Like you can use him if you want to, just not a priority. Already talked about most of these guys. If Ant is out, Jaden McDaniels looks really good at 6.2K. If Ant is in, no way. Chuma's been starting and getting minutes. Just keep an eye on who is back for the Sixers. Like Drummond is questionable. Yabu is still there, so I don't really like it. Plus, Chuma's not really a great permanent guy in the first place. So not super psyched about that. Yeah, it probably does it for this position. Just Brooks there at 3.2K. He's going to look interesting. A little bit risky, though, for sure. All right, power forward Banchero at 9.9K. He looks fine against the Lakers. I don't have a problem with him. I just don't really feel obligated to pay up on this slate. Like now we're getting this crazy value. Like you're going to feel like you have to. I would rather just prioritize the best game of the night. That's the Bulls and Nuggets. Like go get Jamal, play Russ if you want to. Go get Giddey and Vooch and Kobe if you want to. And then like if there's one or two guys that stand out that aren't like, crazy price, like Zion's off the board. So some of these other guys are going to pick up steam. So like an unowned LeBron as your stud, that's not bad. Or an unowned Ant or something. I would not mind gravitating toward that. So Banchero's a good play. But I would imagine one of these dudes is going to pick up steam, and Banchero is probably a decent bet to be among them for sure. So ownership now is kind of gone because everything's changing as we unfold here. But that's like the biggest news we have in the day. So I'm glad we caught it as we did the video. But if you want to pay for Banchero, I don't have an issue with it. I just think if I can, I'm going to go a little bit more balanced personally. Siakam, that's a little bit of a free fall from those guys, but the price is okay. Matchup with Timberwolves, not great. I think it's like if I'm going to pay up, it's going to be Banchero or LeBron here, or I'm going down. In the high mid range or going value. Like Justin Edwards at 5K currently looks great. Cam Johnson, Michael Porter Jr. already talked about. Julius is fine at 7.5. I love PJ Washington at 8.2 if Anthony Davis is out. If Anthony Davis is out, that projection is going to spike, and PJ Washington is going to be the best power forward play of the slate. Technically. Nasri at 5.9, you can still use him off the bench, but obviously now with Zion out and Misi questionable, Kelly Olynyk and Carlo Makovic are going to look really, really good. I would prefer they started, but we'll just see what happens. Like if Misi is in at 4.5K, he's going to be in play. But if he's out, both Kelly and Makovic can be used together. I would probably just choose one. And right now I'd lean towards Makovic because he's cheaper. But pairing them together is not completely out of play. Nobody else really is a must currently, unless like some crazy news drops. I'll refresh the Underdog Twitter timeline as we're going here just to see if anything else is popping up. Nope, just the same stuff we talked about before. All right, over at center to wrap things up. Center is bleak. Because PJ Washington's projection has dropped, which kind of tells me that Anthony Davis is going to play. But if Anthony Davis is out, he will spike to be the best center play of the slate. I love PJ Washington if Brow is out. If Brow is in, I think you can still play PJ because number one, Brow is going to be limited. And also PJ has been a very high usage, high minute guy, 38 minutes in each of his last two games, extremely high usage, 28, 26%, 32% 3 games ago. So if the thing is, he's been scoring like crazy, 26 real points, I think in 3 straight games. He had 9 turnovers last game and like he's 0 assists combined in his last 2 games. So like if he can at all start picking up these peripherals, he's going to smash. So I like him. I think he's okay with Brow in. If Brow's out, I love him. Vooch looks really good as the top projecting center. Don't love that he's 7'6". Don't love the projection, but who's going to stop him in Denver? DeAndre Jordan? No, Jokic is not going to play. So Vooch should play a ton and get good usage and just crush Denver in this matchup. He didn't have to play a ton against the Lakers, but he played 32 minutes 2 games ago. It's been rock solid, even displayed a ceiling. So obviously Giddey and Kobe feel like the priorities, but 7.6, I like Vooch quite a bit. Jakob Poeltl against the Wizards, in theory, like if he gets the extended run, he's a good per minute guy. I don't mind him, but I don't really trust him either. Don't think this is really the position to go mid-range. Like Miles Turner, Claxton, Rudy, they're okay. I think I'm mostly paying for Vooch. I'd probably slide PJ to power forward, and then I'm diving here. I'm going with Olynyk. I'm going with Makovic, who's down here at 4.4K, or I'm going all the way down to DeAndre Jordan, who's 3K flat. So the thing with DeAndre Jordan is, number one, he's old. So he played 38 minutes last game, turned out 38 fantasy points, which is absurd. Do I expect that to happen again? Either of those things? Not really, because it's the second leg of a back-to-back set. But there's really no reason he shouldn't start. That's the other thing. If he starts, he's a slam dunk core play at 3K. He's a free square. Because all you really need from a 3K guy is like 20 fantasy points. If they get 20 fantasy points, it's a win. That you want more than that, obviously. But if he gets 20 fantasy points, it opens up salary everywhere else. You can get a bunch of studs in or do whatever you want. And then if he hits, he gets 30 plus fantasy points. It's a home run, and you're looking great. I just think he's going to be super owned if he starts, and it's just not going to be somebody you want to get away from probably. And he's facing Vooch, so I would imagine they're going to want his size, even though he played a ton in his last game. So it's tough, though, because that's the last game of the night. So you can't really like do a lot if he randomly doesn't start. So it does feel a little bit risky. So if DeAndre Jordan, old-ass DeAndre Jordan, if he's going to be mega chalk going into the slate, it's not the worst idea in the world to hedge that a little bit. And if you're entering a lot of contests, to go a little bit underweight, because number one, you just automatically have a different build. Number two, it's not crazy to think DeAndre Jordan could start and still suck. It's also not crazy to think that the Nuggets could just be kind of weird and not start him at all, right? So if he's going to be like crazy owned, I do think he's free square. I think, in general, he's a really good play. But there is risk there. A lot of different reasons for risk for sure. All right, that's going to do it for the position by position breakdown. Hopefully it does help you out. If it does, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Doing that gets you lured to future videos and also helps us grow as a community. In addition, coming and join the Discord. It's free to chat, talk strategy, share lineups, ask questions. If you are a new player and you just want to learn and get better, come talk to us. We will help you every step of the way. If you are new or in the middle and you need help, you want a foundation of picks to build around, it drop core plays for all the major sports. And the goal is to give you anywhere between 3 and 5 plays that are rock solid and you can build around, and you should play these guys or at least play most of them. And that should get you, pointed in the right direction. All right. Hopefully that helps you out. If it does, do those things, and hopefully we'll see you in Discord and at the top of some GPPs. Thanks for watching and good luck.